Hi, welcome to this episode of Working Better Now. I'm Rob Levin, co-founder of WorkBetterNow. And as always, we're going to have a fantastic discussion with a terrific business leader. To that end, I'd like to introduce Alex Hayes of Catalyst Integrators. Alex, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So, Alex, tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up at Catalyst.
Yeah, I'd love to. So my path has been a bit winding, but I have, for the most part, been in sales and marketing most of my career. I was selling merchandise on tour with Broadway shows at 18 and have continued to stay in sales and marketing. Mostly, I realized because I loved coaching and developing those people. They're traditionally harder people to kind of rein in and get on board and get excited about the values of an organization or the mission of the organization, and realizing that I felt like I had a unique talent to lead and manage and hold accountable those individuals within an organization. And I had the incredible benefit of being introduced to EOS, now about 8 years ago in my career, by my first visionary. So that's Casey Brown of Boost Pricing. I had hired her company to come in and do training for my sales team. And she and I hit it off, and very much a visionary. She saw me as someone who could, what we say in the EOS world, LMA, so lead, manage, and hold accountable team, and also really understood how to organize ideas and training and vision and create action. So she sent me the book Traction by Gino Wickman and let me know that she was hiring for an integrator. And I had the awesome opportunity to be her integrator for a few years. Subsequently, have moved to Catalyst Integrators. So I am the internal integrator at Catalyst Integrators. We're a team of experienced fractional integrators who support visionaries, integrators, entrepreneurs, and business owners to make sure that they are successfully integrating EOS, so the Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Gotcha. Terrific. That's quite a background. So
Yeah.
I want to just jump in for a second. What you said at the beginning really piqued my interest about working with salespeople and that intersection of EOS and salespeople. And yeah, there's some more than others. Salespeople are a tough group to rein in, and in some organizations it's like, oh, they're sales. Like we let them get away with stuff. But, anybody who's been on EOS for a while knows that you got to let salespeople do their thing, but at the same time, you got to hold them accountable. So tell us a little bit about how you've done that. How do you let the salespeople do their thing? Because it's not easy to do what they do, but at the same time, still have that level of accountability, something beyond just, a simple KPI.
Yeah, I think empathy is a big piece of my leadership strategy. That feeds into management. And I think of those things very differently. Leading sales professionals takes less management. If they're good at what they do, and this coming from someone who has worked in sales a lot of my career, if they're good at what they do, they don't necessarily need or want day-to-day management. Relationships take time. I've mostly worked in strategic sales, so business to business, you're developing relationships. And so being there as an empathetic ear, as someone who can understand the nuances of business development, understand and believe someone when they say, I'm working at this, I feel confident in this, and then being there to say, okay, have you thought of this? Consider this. So it's a balance, right? It's trusting them to be professionals to get the things done they need to get done. And it's also offering them guidance when they want it, when they need it. And I would say in addition to that, leading sales professionals and in general, I think leaders, when you're leading leaders, which most, again, in strategic sales and B2B sales, your sales team is probably considered leadership within the organization. Those are the people that set the tone for the organization. One of the things that, again, tying back to EOS, because I drank that Kool-Aid, one of the things that I love so much about having an operating system, whether it's EOS or a different one, is that it provides a vision, a shared vision and shared goals saying, we need you on this team. We want you to be involved in our growth and our vision. And this is where we're headed. You get buy-in and you get excitement so that you can be in a relationship with your team to the extent where they're open and honest and you can be open and honest and provide feedback and coaching and development.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, I mean, some visionaries and sometimes the integrators in a company, for those of you who are not on EOS, it's something probably you can check out on your own. The visionary is really a little bit more on the strategic side. The integrator is really the one who's making sure that the operations are humming. At least that's my point of view. So sometimes you have an integrator and or a visionary who's out in the field, but if you don't, or if they're not out in the field that much, your salespeople are the ones who really know a lot more about the customer. So it is important to get their feedback. But I just want to double back on something. So, first of all, not everybody has a sales team full of A players, right? And regardless, when I think of KPIs in sales, typically and realistically, most of them are kind of lagging indicators, right? Like how many closed deals did you get and stuff like that. What are some of the ways that, and again, let's assume that you don't have a sales team full of superstars because those are hard to find. What are some of the ways that you have managed to essentially manage salespeople so that you're not surprised at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter with the results, with that EOS umbrella there as well?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. I think not just in sales, I think broadly trying to find a leading indicator is important no matter, where you are in the organization. I think sales is actually really clear for me of what that is, and it's activity. My perspective is if you have a team who's getting held accountable to activity, not results, the results come. So depending on what business you're in, right? I would say the obvious ones are how many calls are you making? How many networking events are you going to? How many referrals are you requesting? Because if you're in a smaller, tight-knit community, referrals are a huge piece of your business. So are you asking and are you tracking it? And are we talking about if you're off track, it's not that we wait till the end of the quarter or certainly the end of the year to say, you didn't make your activity goal. Maybe that's why. It's that every single week, at least every week, you're saying, what did you do last week? What's your plan for next week? You don't have enough discovery calls or, networking events or first phone calls scheduled. You don't have enough phone numbers to just dial. Then we need to fix that before we start next week.
Right. Because it's
Right.
just not going to happen on its own, right? It's not going to
Right.
the sales aren't going to magically appear. And then I like to also, back when I was managing sales teams quite some time ago, manage the pipeline, or as Jack Daly, legendary sales coach, says, manage the buckets, right? Constantly look at the change in the buckets. Let's talk a little bit about Catalyst. Give us like the typical, if there is a typical scenario of why a company turns to Catalyst for integrator support.
I appreciate the questions. We work with clients that specifically run on EOS or would like to run on EOS. There's other kind of right-hand people out there that do similar work to us. I think we're world-class at what we do, and part of that is because of the operating system we've chosen. But our target market, when I think about the pain points of the people who come to us for support, mostly visionaries. So those are the entrepreneurial strategic leaders of a company who don't have an executive level partner in their business to support them in hearing their ideas, prioritizing, leading the organization, however big it is or small it is, through the ideas, the change, the development, and the growth, and really implementing things in the business. So some organizations have that. A lot of companies start with two people who kind of fit these roles of like the really more idea, strategic relationship person and the person who's implementing and moving stuff along and marching and hitting the drum, right? But a lot of entrepreneurs are doing it on their own. And
Wearing
you're
both
going
hats
out.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're trying to move the organization forward. They're trying to be visionary, and they're getting stuck and they're getting really frustrated because one of these things is not their unique ability. And so for us, where our niche is when a company isn't ready for full time. And I say that, I think this will probably resonate with a lot of people, is that most integrators, call it a COO, a right hand, that's not necessarily a full-time job on its own. So being in that seat full-time doesn't make sense financially for a business to say, I'm going to hire this person with a six-figure salary for them to be my right hand and move the business forward. They also need to do something else in the business. Maybe they're running the sales team, which I'm doing with Catalyst. Maybe they're running operations, more tactically operations and admin. Maybe they're running finance, but really, if you think about it, they're operating fractionally part-time as COO and also doing something on a leadership team. And so where we shine is we come in and say, okay, entrepreneur, you have no idea how to split this apart. You're doing both jobs. You don't know which you're going to delegate and elevate out of. You don't know which are really important to you to keep, and you don't know how to make this a full-time justified role. So we can come in and say, let's work with you, let's parse this out, let's get the team really excited and inspired day to day about the vision and the mission and the values of this organization. And sometimes we stay, sometimes that role makes sense to keep, and sometimes it's like, we figured it out. You also have no real leadership in sales and marketing. And so let's find someone who kicks butt at being an integrator and being that right-hand person for you, and can lead and manage your sales and marketing, for instance. So that's really where I would say like a part-time executive makes a lot of sense.
And from a different angle, I will tell you, so WorkBetterNow is one of several companies that I started. It's the first where not only I had a partner, but once we got into EOS, it was very obvious I was the visionary and he was the integrator, which allowed me to focus on my unique ability and let go of all that other stuff that, quite frankly, I didn't enjoy doing. And while I could do it, I wasn't great at, and he was terrific at it. And this is the fastest growing company that I've ever had. And I think a lot of it is because I'm able to focus on my unique ability, and having that integrator, whether it's full-time or part-time. I was fortunate, or we were fortunate, that it just made sense. He's great at the integrator stuff, and I do the visionary stuff. It's so powerful. Too many business owners, I think, struggle with being both. You're wondering why you're not growing fast enough, and quite frankly, why you're doing stuff that you don't love doing. And having that part-time option, at least to start off, I think is just such a powerful option that so many businesses have, particularly those who have already decided to go down the EOS path. When Catalyst provides an integrator to a company, what are some of the most immediate paybacks on that investment in your experience?
That's a great question. I think it's the freeing of space for a visionary. I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs and truly visionary leaders, in that their contribution to their organization, and I would say more broadly to their communities, not to soapbox it, but like what entrepreneurs can do for this world is huge. So if they're deep in the weeds and they're managing people day to day, which candidly, if you read the book Rocket Fuel, which is a subsequent book to Traction, they're traditionally not good at it. They want to be, they love people, they care about relationships, but they're not great at truly managing people and that human energy in a company. So what you're doing and right away is saying, you've got great ideas, love them. Let's make sure they're documented if they're not already. Let's put them somewhere. Let's make sure that you're feeling heard, and your team is going to have a good leader, really a person who understands, who's going to get in there and figure it out. And let's figure out what you love. So let's brainstorm. What do you love? What are you passionate about? And it's not the same for every entrepreneur, right, Rob? So if you're going, some people are at the phase of their journey where they've done, they have opened multiple work companies, they're in growth mode, they want to continue to pour into themselves. And so they're joining groups like Strategic Coach or the Visionary Forum, where they're connecting with other entrepreneurs and ideating. And that is the biggest impact we can make. Sometimes it's they still want to dive in. So it's like the first thing we're going to tackle is, let's look at your P&L. Let's cut some operational costs, or maybe let's invest here. Let's add headcount. So in my mind, it's so different with each visionary, but what it is that strategic thought partner.
Yeah,
right?
I think it should not be understated that when the visionary is freed up from a lot of the operational responsibilities, that will lead to new business opportunities for sure. Because the visionary, and I don't know what the percentage is, but I think most founders are visionaries. Not all of them, but most. They just see the market in a very unique way. And you need time to let that brew and convert into ideas that, either it's a new product, a new vision, a new way of marketing, et cetera. It's really powerful.
I'll add to that too. I hear oftentimes visionaries or entrepreneurs say they want to get out of the sales seat. And I sure, you don't want to be the person plugging stuff into the CRM or dialing, 12 calls a day or whatever the KPI is. But there is no one more passionate about your business than you as an entrepreneur. So if you're talking, if you're speaking like you do, Rob, or doing podcasts or whatever you're doing, again, it's like you need time and space to have those conversations, but you're going to get elevated into, it's still a sales role, but you're elevating into a really incredible thought leader instead. And that is going to do huge things for your business.
I now get these one-to-many opportunities, whether it's these types of calls and actually working on a book now and speaking. And it's those one-to-many opportunities that open up the doors really for the sales team, for sure. I want to turn gears a little bit. You and Catalyst recently started working with WorkBetterNow and hired from us Jessica, who's an administrative assistant. Tell us just a little bit about that journey and how things are going.
Yeah. So we are blessed with a really brilliant team of almost all executives, which is phenomenal, right? So we have a kind of this cohort approach to integrators, a bunch of COOs, and including my visionary, who is a visionary, phenomenal leader, and also started this business because she was an integrator. So she's kind of one of those, she's very fluid in her role. And I think because of that, all of us have this mindset of we can do it all. We've done it all. And, just like with any other company, I think it's been holding us back to grow and scale. And so the first step for my visionary was to hire her own integrator, which was me, because there was need both as integrator and sales and marketing. And so that freed up some of her capacity. And then realizing that we are still doing so much of the administrative work in our business that's important. It can't get dropped. It's, I would say, day to day more important than getting on a podcast or even selling. We cannot let down our current clients or our current team. But it was neither mine nor her unique ability to be doing that work. And we had gone through, well, I would say Jamie has gone through virtual assistants. She's gone through, close to full-time executive assistants and kind of trying to find truly what the business needs right now in our evolution. And we had the ability to get connected with WorkBetterNow and really kind of define and scope out. Yes, we need the virtual assistant. We need someone to manage email and kind of move paperwork along, but we need someone who has the ability to look at things with a lens and discernment. And so it was a fun conversation to have with our partner at WorkBetterNow early on to say, we need someone who can say, I can handle this, or I need support. And so having that real face to say, get embedded in our organization. Let's onboard you top to bottom as essentially an employee of Catalyst. Get to know us as leaders and what matters deeply to us. And Jessica has been phenomenal at that. She came in and feels like one of our team members, whether she's getting hired through WorkBetterNow or not. And she cares deeply, again, about our vision. She's learned EOS. She cares about what our priorities are. She knows what our rocks are, which in EOS terms is our 90-day priorities. And so for her going through an email or prioritizing her to-do list, we're throwing stuff over to her. She innately knows what's the most important thing. So we've had an incredible experience over the last 3 to 6 months with her in her going from just I would say what we assumed was going to be more focused on virtual assistant to broadening that and allowing her more flexibility, giving her things that she enjoys doing and is a little bit more strategic work for us inside the business. And so it's been an awesome partnership where we've said, like, we get to delegate out of so much more than we had originally anticipated. And it's providing value both to me and Jamie and to the rest of our organization, just like we were saying, because she and I both get to elevate out of so many more tasks than we had even realized we could.
Right. That's fantastic. And what by having Jessica relieve you of those tasks, what has that enabled you guys to do?
Again, I think a lot of it is the time and capacity to do more of the strategic work. I look at Jamie, and she's been able to pour into her communities. So she's been on more podcasts. She's been going to Strategic Coach and Visionary Forum. She is able to pour into our EOS implementer community more. And so that's the external focus. Internally for both of us, it's the hiring and scaling the team. So we were able to add a business development person and be able to actually onboard and develop them. We hired 3 new fractional integrators since bringing on Jessica. So we have scaled tremendously, and all of them are experienced. They've been integrators, they've been fractional integrators, so they understand the work really, really well and saw the value in our organization. And Jamie, our visionary, has been able to jump in and be extremely hands-on with them as they understand our value and our processes in a way that she has not been able to do in the past, because she's doing so much, she's really elevated out of the day-to-day business more than she has in the past.
It's very powerful. It sounds like Jessica's been a bit of a catalyst for Catalyst, which is
Yes.
great to hear.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you like to do when you're not working?
What do I like to do when I'm not working? I have two beautiful children and a very handsome husband. I shouldn't leave him out. And so the majority of my time is juggling a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old and their passions. But I have the great gift of working virtually. So I live in Willamette Valley in Oregon. So I'm outside in the woods drinking wine or craft beer and going to soccer practices and trying to stay active and present when I am not working.
That's fantastic. And Alex, where can people find out more about you and Catalyst?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the best way to handle that is to jump to our website. So www.catalystintegrators.com.
Terrific. Alex, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. And I want to thank everybody in our community for watching, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks so much, Rob.